under help me out administrators, if you go to our school, correct? And then school board?
Yes.
And then agendas,
Yes.
right? That's where they're posted. So an agenda has to be posted 48 hours prior to the meeting, which it always is, and they are also physically posted on each of the campuses. So hopefully that clears up any misconception you have about agendas or meeting notifications, and that's where you can find them should you choose to want them. Other than that, we are not going to hear patron input tonight. I put that on the agenda. We are legally not required to hear patron input. We normally choose to, but since this is a continuation of the meeting we had last time that we had to end because of disruption, and if you want to confirm that, you can do that on the Idaho Attorney General's website. It's written right on there. So with that being said, we're going to get started. For those of you who would so choose, if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So the first thing I have on the agenda is I sent the agenda to all of you. I'm talking about the Tuesday night one and this Thursday night one. Did everybody have a chance to look at that?
Yes.
Any problems, comments, revisions?
No.
All right, at this time, can I please have a motion to approve the Tuesday night agenda, which was August 17th, and tonight's agenda, which is August 19th?
I'd like to make motion this time to approve the August 17th agenda as submitted on the
Can I have a second, please?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those two agendas are approved. Thank you very much. Marie, if you are ready?
Yeah, I think I am. This is just revising and trying to articulate some metrics for different categories where we would have different procedures for the school. And so we tried to, as an admin team, we all met, and basically anything that is in orange is an addition to what is existing and already approved from last summer. Anything that is struck out are things we felt like were redundant or not needed or needed to be changed. So everything else is word for word. So hopefully that will make it simple. So this is a draft because we're at a board meeting to determine what the final one will be, and we can make changes as we need to. This is a draft. So these are just suggestions. So we felt like adding a goal of being in person rather than, having that, really the goal would be to stay here at school physically. That was the goal of our reopening plan, and not have to rely on remote learning unless we're in dire circumstances. So we added the words and in person, and I think I need to put a D there.
No, it's provided.
And in person, thank you. Okay, perfect. So that was the only change on page 1. Is there any discussion in page 1? Okay. Page 2. Later on in the document, we're going to define some categories. And so we'll get there in just a minute, and we can go back to this when we're done. But basically, we added, when in category 2 or 3, and we're going to define what those are in just a second, masks will be required for all students, staff, and family and visitors who are on campus, unless outside. And then we also changed, we encourage the staff and students should stay home when they're sick. We wanted the encourage word to be just a little stronger about staying home when you're sick. Any questions or comments there or changes?
No.
So this part, when a child or staff member becomes sick at home or school, not knowing whether it's COVID or not, just when someone's sick, we added the words, instead of have not been exposed, have had no known exposure, because sometimes people may be exposed but they didn't know, right? So we just changed that a little bit to make it a little bit more clear. Any questions, comments, or revisions?
No.
So if a student or staff member is COVID positive, we struck the last verbiage just because we actually thought that was a bit redundant. And if a staff or student member is COVID positive, we would like them to alert the administrator or nurse immediately and quarantine for CDC guidelines and do not come to work or school. I guess we could put or school in there because students, I mean, they do work at school, but.
If we could say do not come into the building,
Okay.
because that's, well, we already said that, so I think that was what cleared that up when we were originally talking about it.
Okay.
I still like the word and school.
Right, in class.
Whoops. Basically, we had some teachers that were tempted to come in and when they were COVID positive, come in the building and want to do lesson plans, and so we just told them we would take care of that for them so they wouldn't feel that stress. Any questions or additions, comments?
Moving on.
So this next section we updated, we took this word for word from the procedures page that we looked at our last meeting, and to update this from the guidance that's been provided by the CDC over the summer. If a student or staff member is exposed, so this is someone who hasn't tested positive but has been exposed to a positive case. These are the procedures for those different categories of people. We actually added this as kind of a separate, just to make it a little bit easier to read, as a separate section.
Right. On that is, since they're fully vaccinated, are we gonna require students to show proof of vaccination?
No, I think, and Jackie, you can chime in here. I think Kelly just, that's just something we want to know so that we know what the proper procedures are.
But they're not gonna be required to show
No.
proof, right?
We would hope that they would just be honest and tell the truth.
Well, so, I don't think you need to have any.
I think the situation it says, if they've been exposed, if they want to come to school, they probably would show proof of vaccination. And we've had several parents and students, do that. So,
I guess that would be a question procedurally for Kelly.
Would that be they're treated as unvaccinated unless proven otherwise situation?
Can't prove it, it goes against it. What the heck? Can't prove it.
Any questions about those guidelines?
China.
So we felt like the subjective descriptor between category 1, 2, and 3 was just vague. And so we looked at the recommendations from the CDC for schools and looked at what are the percentages of positivity rate in an area. And we thought Canyon County, because we have kids from all parts of Canyon County, and even some from Ada County. And so category 1 would be 7% or less positivity rate for 14 consecutive days. So that would be a rolling consecutive days. Category 2, which is where we're at now as a county, we're 15%, is 7.1 to 35% positivity rate. We would be in category 2. In category 3 would be 35% or greater positivity rate for 14 consecutive days. And so in the previous plan, we had broken out primary and secondary. We just really combined them together because I think we would do the same thing. And so we changed the primary campus heading to learning environment. We put in category, if we're in category 1 as a county, masks would be recommended. Category 2 as a county, masks would be required. Category 3, we would be fully remote. We may take some small groups like our special education students, our high need students, but they would be required to wear masks, on campus. So we just changed, we took out the verbiage because community spread is subjective depending on what metric you look at. But it's very easy to go to Southwest District Health and look at the positivity rates of COVID in the county. The other thing we added was that the executive director has the ability to announce the category and to change the status based on metrics. So if we look at the metrics on a Friday and suddenly we're at 36% positivity rate, she has the ability to say we're in category 3, we're going to remote learning, or we're at 6%. We've been at 6% for 14 consecutive days. We're going back to category 1. We're not requiring masks. That way we don't have to have board meetings and wait for those board meetings. We can do that quickly.
Where do you get authority to require masks?
For classroom expectations,
I asked you a question.
we added some things. Brett, if you want to go to the next page.
Why not?
We added just differences in verbiage and took some things out that seemed redundant.
What is the positivity rate even talking about?
Any questions about the classroom expectations? And this is movement outside the classroom. So when we're going down the hallway, we're going to lockers and things like that. We didn't make any changes from our plan that we've adopted before. So it's the same. Playgrounds, we added masks aren't required. Even in community category 2, we're not requiring them outside. That was the only change there, I think. Yeah. And then on the buses, I think that we were I think we didn't catch this one, admin team. We had in category 2 face masks are optional. I would imagine you would want that to be changed to required in category 2. I think we just missed that.
How do masks affect children's mental health?
Yeah, do you,
want
I'll just go ahead and change that because that's just consistent with the school building.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe it's required federally for school buses.
No.
It's a federal law.
I'm sorry about that. I thought I caught all that stuff there. So I'm going to highlight that because that is an addition. And then the student expectations, again, just changing that category 2. So Brett, if you want to go down to the next page. Category 2 would be face mask required. And then I think the next page addresses remote learning, what that would look like if we were in the category 3. We didn't feel like there was any need for any changes in that section. And then Brett, is there a last page with the addendum? Lauren, I don't know. Did you put that page in there? That where we talked about the, yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. We just had a document that we thought would be good for, it was some metric guidance from the CDC that we thought would be good for you to look at so that you know where we came up with those numbers. And again, those numbers are recommended. It's your decision as a board to change those, to lower them or raise them or whatever, but we tried to kind of go by the CDC recommendations for those metrics.
Yeah, you sent that document to us.
Okay.
Lauren, will there be a way for you to put it in the document?
Yeah, I can copy.
Do you want to do it real quick? Not to stress you or anything at all. And that's it. Those were the changes. They're mostly just being consistent. Any questions before we'll show that metric is just for your information. It's just a graphic. But any questions or things that the board wants to entertain adding?
Child abuse,
Jackie,
sick and twisted.
let's say that, we're going by the Southwest Self-Metric, and we're up high, and transmission rate is high, and COVID cases are high, however, our rate is low at the school. What's our plan, what's your plan on whether or not we're gonna keep the school open? If our cases are low, we're below, are we still gonna go remote because everybody else is?
I think the metrics that Lauren's going to share with her pretty soon, we chose a really high number to go remote, probably higher than what's recommended because if you think about 35% positivity rate, every 3 person, 1 person's testing for COVID. So, so I think that's where we were thinking. We felt pretty good about that number. Let's see.
How many kids died from COVID last year at the school?
So percentage of that are positive, it says if it's greater than 10%, and you can see that's like high risk. So that's category 2 for us. So I think that if we're in the 30, 35 or above, we're looking at some really extensive community spread. And that would be a dire situation. That's what we're trying to stay away from. Joel, I don't know if that answered your question. Okay.
No, I think his question was if the community is high, let's say that the community is high, but yet we haven't had any cases at school or any, I mean, that's what I would say, Joel, is that, my suggestion would be that no, that we don't close it. We haven't had any cases or our transmission rates are low. But it would be pretty odd that if the community was at 35 or 36 or 40% of the community was testing positive for COVID, that wouldn't transmit it to the school, just because our kids are part of that community.
That's the whole idea of all of this, is to keep our kids in the school. And
Yeah.
if we're taking the precautions now to keep it slow and we don't have a big outbreak. I know the optics of it aren't going to be the greatest, but if it means we can keep our kids in the school because we're doing what we can to keep it open.
I think it's kind of unprecedented territory for us, and so,
No, it's like,
sometimes we have students that, like, for instance, I have an example of maybe a student that calls in and says, my uncle has COVID. He stays with us. He's in the house. Those community kind of, she doesn't maybe, but and so looking at typically our school is a sample of our community. But if that happened and we were like, wow, we haven't had anything, and it's 40%, I mean, I think that would probably that would be kind of almost maybe we want to re-examine our plan because then it's like maybe not as valid as we want it to. Yeah. So it's a great question though, because yeah.
Okay, thank you, Marie. Any other questions or comments regarding the plan?
We got homeschool co-ops, guys, just leave.
Okay.
We will.
Then
Just
at
leave.
this time,
Don't
can
put
I
your
please
kids in
have a
this
motion
crap.
to approve
Pull your
the
kids.
plan as submitted? Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, this plan is
We
adopted.
can't hear
Thank you,
anything
Marie.
without your masks on.
Thank you.
Okay,
Meeting doesn't
any,
count.
input for next meeting? I know we have that contract. Did you need anything else before we adjourn?
What happened to parental rights and parental choice?
Okay, at this time, can I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 6:55. Thanks, everyone.
No, tests are all a fraud, it's all a lie.
So how come you guys took a mask mandate vote in the secret of the public?
No, they did it Tuesday, actually. I was here for the mandate vote.
How come the email didn't state what they were going to be voting on?
It actually was like a spur of the moment. One of the board members, we were all in shock too, believe me.
How many people were here for that meeting?
There was a lot of masks.
Oh,
there was a lot
why?
of masks and about 7 of us.
Right. You know why? Because they didn't state what they were going to be discussing.
I agree, but I'm saying the board is the one who.
Where was the agenda? Where was the agenda stating they were going to take this vote? They should have informed every parent who is registered for this school.
Amen. Amen.
It's not the board's job to decide what is right for children. It is the parents' job, and you're complicit. You are complicit to the tyranny and the child abuse against every family registered in this school.
It's against HIPAA for you to even ask us if we're vaccinated. That's against HIPAA, our right. You cannot ask our students if they are vaccinated. Don't even ask them.
They lied. This was the plan all along. Next, they're going to force vaccinate you on site. They already did that in Valley School here in Napa School District. They set up forced vaccination sites.
And when are they going to come for the patients? We're all.
They will take your children from their class and they will vaccinate your child without your consent. Pull your children.
And hiding behind your power to our students. Keep your kids home if you're that afraid. You wear the mask. We're not asking you to take off your mask.
I want all the children to be in school.
I was very annoyed with them last year because they weren't optional.
And
This year,
everybody has
I
an
was thinking
opinion
about wearing
all
them
the time.
because they were optional.
How come the families weren't notified? How come the families weren't properly notified of your meeting last week? That you were going to be taking a vote on mask mandates.
You know, I'm not going to be bullied by you.
I am not trying to bully you. I'm asking you a
You're using
question.
aggressive
I'm
words.
asking you a
I'm trying to
question.
talk to this nice gentleman about maybe being on the board. And
Fine.
you come and attack me
Okay,
because
I'll
I'm not
lower
doing-
my tone, but I want an answer. I want to know why the families of this school system was not properly notified that you were going to be taking a vote.
You can't look at my child.
Listen to your own student.
You're too afraid to look at a 7-year-old child.
Look at her.
You're cowards. You liberal cowards. You can't listen to a 7-year-old girl speak.
Children can pick.
You are cowardly.
Where's the mandate and vote for them?
Listen to a 7-year-old girl.
Yeah, where's the vote for the children?
I feel alienated when I can't see other kids' smiles and they can't see mine. My parents were tricked when they were told masks would be optional. I was at the emergency room. My oxygen level were low because my mask was on.
You can't listen to a 7-year-old speak, you cowards.
Damn you.
We'll see you at your house. We'll see you at your house. You guys are not off limits. We will see you at your house.
Shame.
Protest at their house. They're not off limits.
Shame on you.
We must hold them accountable.
This weekend at the restaurant, they weren't wearing masks.
Right? You're going to be held accountable. You guys are going to be held accountable because you did not properly notify the parents of this
Acting like
school.
you were on our side, like you wanted what was best for the parents. You are two-faced because you sit here with all of them and you don't say a word to defend us. You don't say a word to defend the students that should not be in masks, and you know it.
This wasn't a meeting about changing.
No, but last week
But Jackie,
was.
Tuesday was.
Last week was.
I don't.
Why was the families not notified?
Jackie,
The families were.
You're not school board
No.
members, you're
I saw the email. I saw the email.
activists disguised
I
as
saw the
school board
email.
members who don't
It said nothing in that email about taking a vote for masks for the school for this coming year.
Jackie, you're looking at a lawsuit. You are going to deny children's education because they won't wear a mask. Is that what you're saying? Yes? You are going to deny them an education.
This is a school choice, and you have a choice to
Approved
come
the
here or not.
opening plan as optional.
You are unbelievable. You are unbelievable. I thought more of you, but I guess maybe I was wrong. What are you afraid of? A disease that they haven't even isolated?
What happened to last week's vote when they approved it as optional? Like, why? Why do that? Fool us as parents into thinking we're going to bring our
And
kids
you know what's
optional.
worse? Is you fooled the kids. You made the kids think something was going to happen. It's like telling a kid you're going to take them to Disneyland, and then the next day saying, haha, I was just joking. Do you understand the damage that you're doing? Any idea?
They have an agenda that's beyond the kids.
They do, because they took federal money.
They're trying to take over.
And guess what? The Southwest Health District has never mandated masks. I sat at every single meeting this entire year. They have never mandated masks. It's always been optional.
If you work here and you want to wear a mask,
And what about the resolution? Did you not see the resolution they passed?
it doesn't make sense.
Because they're cowards.
Or we're too
Go in.
We'll have signs out front of each one of your schools, okay?
warning you every day.
Let's go.
Pull your kids. Tell everyone you know that goes to these schools, pull your kids.
Not happening. It's not happening. We either pull kids or we show up without our goddamn masks. They cannot mandate a man. It is not law. They cannot do that.
It's not law.
It really isn't.
Mandates are not law.
And if we
I understand that. Believe me, I understand that more than anyone. anyone.
Optional, then where is the majority?
Believe me, you're preaching to the choir.
We need to be here on day.
But there's not going to be enough of parents standing up for that. Just like all the Nampa schools, all they did was comply all year long.
Get out front and send the message. Since we don't have
If you guys, if you want to get some people,
Because they voted to approve it last week. They approved the
Optional.
plan as is, optional.
Right.
And guess what? They changed it.
Over 80% who said yes, we want it optional.
Yes.
Then we're behind our
Last
back.
week, we saw the note, and we don't have emails of all you people.
Right.
So we're like,
How
what
are
do we
we
do?
supposed to get the
And we
message
felt
out then?
uncomfortable with the whole idea of them sneaking that in there like that. So we
know
showed
it was
up.
gonna be a
Yeah.
mass vote. We thought that was done.
Yeah.
They
So we
approved
showed
the
up. So we showed up.
No, I
and they-
emailed her.
and they
I
only
said, how
had
come you're
two
being
people.
vague in your message about
Two
what's
people
happening
talk
at
about
the
it.
surprise emergency
And I was like,
meeting?
what the heck's going
I
on
said,
here?
if you're gonna
because the families were not properly notified.
No, what happened was
The email.
true.
It just
The
made it sound like,
teachers
oh,
Apparently
like
not.
are
7
afraid.
hours or something.
My mom
So
even
they're
said,
going with
so
the
what
teachers.
just happened? And I just was trying to
Because the liberals infiltrate the
And they
school
always
board.
will because they're afraid they're gonna quit on
I
them.
think everyone who voted.
That'll never change.
They're afraid of the teachers.
Let them quit.
I really think we were all
So-
a
None of us
little too
went
lackadaisical.
because they
And then on
made
top
it
of them not
optional,
letting
and then
us
they
know
just
what the
held a meeting, and everyone was just
meeting
like,
was really
we don't
about.
have to go because it's optional. And
But
then
the email that they put out for that meeting where they took that vote said nothing about taking a vote once again en masse.
Tried to trick
for
us.
a vote.
They left that email. They left that email as vague.
I knew when they were gonna
They,
revise it. I
and
knew
I'm glad you were here to find out.
And that's why we're all here together.
They left it.
But
Yeah,
they left choosing
every single
not
one
to
of
look
them
at our
ignored us.
pictures.
Every single one of them ignored us.
they left it as vague as possible, that email, so that nobody would show up.
Because we don't have to.
Yeah, no, they,
Especially when we're told that the unvaccinated will be handled accordingly.
Yeah.
There was
That right
Well, and they just assume that unless you report proof, then they're going to assume your child's unvaccinated. Yeah,
Oh, my body, my
Red
choice,
Star.
right?
Yeah.
I feel like they did something illegal. Sure. Because they said it was optional, and then they did another thing where they voted.
Exactly.
It just feels like it was illegal.
High five, girl. You get it. You get it. You're smart.
I will be provided for in accordance with the established agenda at this place location in underline. Patron input will not be accepted at this meeting. That is contradictory.
Right. Well, they
You
said
can
it's a
speak, you
continuation.
can't speak. Well, guess what?
That was the reasoning they used.
We spoke,
I know.
and we still were not listened to.
we
They
tried.
need to move forward. No, they don't.
Well, what we should have done was shut this meeting down so they could not have approved the agenda that just took place on Tuesday.
Okay,
when I turned around and looked at you guys and I went like this, that was the opportunity to get loud and shut them down. Because if they can't take a vote and they can't approve the prior meeting's agenda, nothing moves forward. But I can't do it without you guys. So that was your cue.
But our group
Get loud.
agreed that we would not stop it. We were just gonna because
Now what?
Well,
Now what?
if you end up doing that all the time, eventually they're never gonna listen to you.
Did they listen the first time?
They're not gonna listen anyway.
That's why we're in this position now. They don't care. They have literally been bought by this CARES Act money, this federal money. I sit at the county commissioners meetings every month. I sit at the Southwest Health District every month.
Right.
I sit at Nampa City Hall with the mayor every month. I know damn well what's going on, and there's never been a mandate. But I know that they're keeping the emergency order in place renewing it every 30 days for the money.
Well, yeah, Brad Little needs to be.
And a lot of that money has been funneled to the schools and the school districts.
And the money's just disappearing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm proposing
So,
in April, I'm running for board. Okay?
Are you
okay.
Steven?
I'm Patrick.
Patrick. Oh,
I'm
Patrick
running,
what?
I'm running, yeah, I'm running
You
for
had a hat
board,
on the other night.
and I demand that this stop. We need to listen to the children and the parents of the children, not
But-
the people.
How many of those have? How many
Look,
of
it's
those-
either going to
Those are all
take
teachers.
How
Those
many
are all
of those
teachers.
have
it's either going to take people, it's either going to take 50 plus % of families pulling their kids out. Okay?
Everyone should just pull out their kids, and then they'll be like,
You guys, look, you guys need to tell everyone you know. You guys need to tell everyone you know that goes to these schools. Listen.
Money. We need a director.
Pull your kids out. You need more. You
I
need.
don't know anybody. That's the problem. We only knew.
But you guys got a network.
Yeah, we only.
You guys got a network.
And we had the Facebook network.
You got 1 week. You got 1 week. I know you can do it. And we got groups. We got groups that can help you.
We can show up to open the house.
On the first day. On the first day of school.
Monday, open house. We could show up.
Open house. Open house.
Open house. We're doing it here. We're doing it at the primary, and we can show
Oh,
up.
that's true. That is a great idea.
And we can have others show up.
And then they would be like,
Facebook group.
Huh?
Get your
You're in
own
charge of
gang.
Facebook group.
I'm the moderator.
See, I need to know dates and times, so keep me informed.
All right. We got a network. We got a
I can accept people though.
She accepts people.